How do you see the private sector credit growth since you started to reduce the policy rates? Are you satisfied with that?
When we relax monetary policy, what we expect, banks will give more credit to the private sector. That we can see clearly from June onwards. It's turning into positive territory, and the trend will continue. And there will be a reasonable amount of credit flow compared to the tightening cycle we had in almost 1.5 years. Can see all the negative growth, and now it will turn into positive. I would expect that positive growth will continue.
The premise of the DDO was when you concern the EPF, the inflation will be 5% so that you will have a net return of 4%. Whereas now it's going to increase the inflation. You say that it will be going to 7%. So does that mean they are going to have reduced return? And also, is the central bank contemplating any revision in the returns because of the high inflation?
The returns given to the fund is a function of what the fund earn based on their portfolio. So how inflation relating to this is that the inflation is higher than relatively inflation interest rates are also can be higher. But what is given as a dividend for the EPF is what kind of return they generate out of the portfolio they have been holding. So that is not a function of inflation. It's historical. Historically, how they have invested in treasury bills, bonds, and based on restructured bonds. So what government gave assurance is that if the return is going to be lower than 9% next couple of years, government will provide from the budget that balance 9, make it at least minimum 9%. So it has nothing to do with the inflation. So if inflation is higher, then if the interests are going to be higher, portfolio can generate a higher return. We had to wait and see how they invest and what would be the outcome.
Regarding the next regular statement on monetary policy review scheduled for 26 March, are there any specific areas or indicators that the public and businesses should pay close attention to in order to better understand the central bank's evolving stances and policy directions?
I would like public to understand the messages that we are giving in terms of the direction on the inflation expectations and the expectation of more credit flowing into the economy. And if there are any deviations, then they need to monitor. And key one is to manage and anchor inflation expectations around 5%. That's what we expect from the public, from the markets, to base their consumption and investment decisions on the basis of stable 5% inflation going forward on a medium to long term basis.